Hello everyone, I'm Alan Fonte, or Ralph, as most people know me as, and I'm going to be talking about how the signs of the fear of intimacy and how fear of intimacy can affect your personal and interpersonal relationships and how, well, it's not really a good thing. One of the seven indicators, first things first, that usually show fear of intimacy is always being a positive person. Well, the thing is, positivity. If you kind of just convince yourself that you're happy as you are, you won't really feel inclined to go around connecting with people. Well, when this happens, there's no improvement. You could be miserable, you could be lonely, but if you convince yourself you're happy in your loneliness, you'll never change. This is kind of how it works. And well, yeah, being being super positive is known to be a sign of, well, fearing intimacy. Another one is being the strong one others turn to, being that one dude, that one friend that, oh no, I have an issue, so, hey, let's just, go talk to Brad. I mean, he's always strong, he's always positive, he's always uplifting, he's always giving good advice. I mean, you never see him upset, you know. Being the strong one, well, if people just assume you're strong, well, they'll never assume you're weak, and well, the fear of intimacy usually is tied into the belief that that intimacy is weakness, and so therefore you don't really want to expose yourself to that. If you're the strong one, you're always building people up. No one will ever question the fact that you're actually weak to a certain aspect because that's the general trait of humanity. We're all weak to a certain sense. To deny that by basically showing off that you're the strong one is a good way to deter people from actually bothering to notice that you are kind of in need of that. Well, kind of this third point kind of ties to it in the fact of saying you always appear perfectly put together, the guy that's never upset, that's seemingly living a perfect life. It's a full-time job doing that, but if you want to deter people from ever questioning you, just act like you're perfectly put together all the time. Because if people see you're perfectly put together, they'll figure out, well, there's no need to ask what's going on with him. There's no point to question Susie, because she's obviously already good as is. And if people believe you're good as is, if you can convince everyone of that, no one will bother questioning you. They'll just be like, he's fine, she's fine, doesn't really matter, even if you're not. And well, this concept of appearing perfect is a perfect way to deter people from actually trying to get close to you, because if they see you're already good as this, they'll be like, well, there's no point for me being there. It's also a good tactic. Another one, another trait is just to kind of reflect on how you perceive romance in general. If you have this ideal version in your head, of this perfect guy or girl for you, but you just haven't really found that person yet. Because, well, you'll kind of mind trick yourself into believing, oh, hey, well, I know the perfect girl for me is so and so, this and that, right? But then, a lot of times expectations are just unrealistic. I mean, and at the same time, and even if in an event where you did find that perfect girl that just you really dreamed of, nothing would probably ever happen still, because you'd be so afraid that the perfection is actually real. You'd be doubting yourself to the point where you would never let anything happen. Yeah, high standards. It's not that it's a bad thing, but it's a trait that's usually tied with fear of intimacy. Another one is you're different depending on who you talk to. You're known as a different person. This is known as, well, another name for this is Marilyn Monroe syndrome. She was known for that. In one movie, she was a damsel in distress. Another one, she's, for example, a super spy. You just watch old movies. It's known as Marilyn Monroe syndrome for that reason. She was always a different actor in a different film, which left a lot of people questioning who was real Marilyn Monroe. Applying this to communications, who was the real you? Are you the real you constantly, or are you always flipping the script and acting, for example, like a tough guy that smokes weed with your buddy Bill, but then acting like a hippie that a hippie that loves to fight with your friend Bob? Or are you constantly switching around personalities depending on the people you're with? That also could be a sign that, you're kind of well guarded. Another one is you never remain still. This is major because, well, if you fear intimacy, you're going to look for every possible excuse not to connect. And, well, people that fear intimacy tend to be super duper fast. Oh no, well, I just finished this book. I'm about to go shopping. I'm about to go shopping, I'm about to go watch this movie. After I'm done watching this movie, I'm going to go sleep, and then I'm going to wake up, and I'm going to go work out. Basically, stuff like that is kind of how people that fear intimacy are. They literally will find any and every excuse to remain so busy that they don't simply have time to connect. And lastly, you have very strong opinions. Now, don't get me wrong here. Strong opinions is not a bad thing because, well, if you don't stand for something, you'll fall for anything. But there's a difference between taking a stand for something and, well, actually using your strong opinion to deter others. And people with a fear of intimacy will take it to the deterrent direction and be like, well, I'm just going to make it so clear that I'm so sure that I believe in so and so that your confidence will serve as a deterrent. Like, if you say you're standing on something so confidently, no one will want to get close to you in regards of that matter, because it's going to be like, well, what's the point? I mean, he already knows, or she already knows that she believes this is wrong, so there's no point trying to connect on this matter because, well, if so-and-so Susie says she thinks, for example, Prop 58 is evil, period, and there's no other way to it. Well, people will just figure out there's no point trying to change your mind, and, well, it's that very thing that drives away people. These are all 7 characteristics attributed to, fear of intimacy. And, well, I can honestly relate to a lot of these because, well, I kind of deal with the same thing. I mean, I've known one of my close friends, he's noticed that the constant with me. I talk to so much people, yet when he asks me, who do I really trust, who do I really consider a good friend, I mean, it's hard to, I don't even think I could give an answer, sort of my friend Will and maybe my best friend back home. I consider people friends, but it's hard for me to even answer as to who do I think I can actually really trust or genuinely, have a connection that runs super, super deep because, well, just by nature, I establish basic level connections. Don't push it beyond that. So I can understand, connect with a lot of these, which is kind of why I chose this specific article, which leads to my conclusion of, how is this a good thing or not? And, well, this is not a very, yeah, well, here's my friend dancing in the background. Anyway, fear of intimacy is not a good thing in interpersonal relationships because, well, take, for example, I'm trying to talk to my friend here. If I can't connect with my awesome friend over here, how the hell am I supposed to establish a good relationship? You can't. Fear of intimacy is a very bad thing. And
vlogging's very good.
Yep, this is for a project. This is for a project. It's all good, thank you. No, you're perfect. Anyway,
thanks, man. I don't even diagrams, but this is beautiful.
No, stay here. Anyhow,
I'll be back.
Tell me. Tell me. Can you connect with someone if you're actually afraid to establish any actual connection? Like, let's say you're afraid of this even friendship intimacy. Is it possible to actually connect with anyone truly? Wouldn't that just suck, This to be talking to someone, but there's no really deep connection there.
That would seem very difficult.
Yes, you see, it is difficult. Thank you for your aid.
Of course.
Yep.
Enjoy. There are no brownies.
Over there. Anyhow, you heard it. It's a friend of mine. But yeah. First things first. Well, to even recognizing this problem is to admit that it's there. a lot of people like me, for example, let's take for example my friend Eric, who was just here. When I'm talking with him, I know I have a real connection, but if it were someone that's not him, someone I just have a basic connection with, I would have flat out denied the fact that, well, there's a lack of a connection there because, well, I wouldn't want to admit it. And, well, that in itself is kind of a problem. First, you have to be willing to accept the fact that there's a lack of a connection and issue there. Then from there on, well, according to this article, getting therapy is, well, recommended, but, well, I personally don't believe that. I really believe that if you really want to solve it, you just have to really have a will to change yourself, because where there's a will, when it comes to thoughts in the mind, well, there's a way. Anyhow, that's my presentation on fear of intimacy, how it affects interpersonal relationships and your connections in general, and how to, well, detect if you have the issue and will improve it. Thank you.